I needed a quick game to cast, and I happened to find this one while I was browsing through the replay submissions channel of the Brightworks Discord. Apparently, today we have an extremely quick game on everybody's favorite, Supreme Isthmus. Usually, I feel like almost always, this map ends up going the distance, well into the late game, so I'm excited to see exactly what happens today. So, welcome to the Brightworks, where today we're going to be checking out exactly what is going on with this already very strange spawn. I feel like I should introduce these commanders quick because clearly something funky is going on. Today, spawning is the red team's leader, a commander that goes by the name of J2 Man, or J2 Man. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. 31 open skill and hailing from America, going to be showing us what he's got. Going up against the blue commander here, over on the other side is an Armada commander, Meow. Meow, I'm not like it, you know, it's kind of like the sound a cat makes, but I'm not sure if that's exactly the intent here. 26 open skill, going to be showing us what they've got as an Armada commander spawning on the pawn position. Grumpiness, my good fellow, what do you happen to be up to today? Going to be building a line of LLTs across the line over here to try and really aggressively deny any positional advantage for the blue team. How cheeky. So the yellow commander has taken this time to sprint forward onto the front lines here, going to be deploying a wall of LLTs. Obviously, this denies you an entire position of economy worth of production right now, so the blue team is going to pull ahead in the metal extraction economy very, very early on. But for the time being, losing all this metal production, I mean, sure. There we go, LLT's up and running. The Resbot does barely escape with its life over here to go reclaim for another day. But at the very least, Grumpiness has well denied this 4.3 metal extractor for a good long while. Even the commander is going to struggle to push forward here. What a cheeky play. All right, so already off, ripping and roaring to a very bizarre start here. Gonna be showing us some of the best of the best. You can see, there we go. Yeah, the red commander is sending a constructor back to go claim all these metal extractors, while the yellow commander just goes ahead and builds a bunch of stuff. We have a solar panel handed over here to the yellow commander as well from the maroon commander is going to be playing in the tech position, as well as the air commander and the backline there, the tank commander that did also hand one over. This Resbot has definitely gotten its value out though. Yeah, reclaiming about, what is that, 12 metal a second out of these rocks right here certainly has found its value out on the map, but now the grunts will jump on top of it, and just like that, that Resbot will go down, completely denying any further future investments into any kind of reclamation in the middle of the map right now. So now all the reclaim is secured, all of the front line is secured, the aggravators have been forced out instead, so Nut is now completely death spiraled here. You really, really rely on having those Resbots to eat up the plants, the trees, and all that if you want to go for that one max grunt spam. And because the Resbot was shot down right there, it meant that Nut is now completely hard countered. These are commanders that know what the other is going to go for and are countering a build specific here. So this is rare to see, but this is a build order counter in Beyond All Reason. I know, I know. By the way, it's worth mentioning, it's worth acknowledging that we have a large influx of players coming over from StarCraft. So a warm welcome to everybody that's joining us from that community. Always cool to see new players joining us. One of the things that's not so prominent here, but definitely prominent there, are build order counters. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So the red team is essentially expecting a one max grunt spam here, sending a commander forward, essentially the only thing fast enough and sturdy enough to counter that, and then shutting it all down very nicely. Now all the metal in the middle of the map is completely theirs for the reclamation here. The brown commander going for aggravators to shut down these very fast scout units. Not going to work well. Well, okay, it worked well in that one instance, but grunts are going to be way better here. Yeah, a little bit of miss micro right here from Wrinkly Cow. But excellent aggression right now from the blue commander, managing to still find an opportunity to get a little bit of damage done on otherwise an unbelievably devastating start here. Grumpiness not done yet though. Yeah, sees the commander moving forward. Nuts commander steps away from the laboratory, and Q Grumpiness moving out into the water here and sneaking into the side. So, to be clear, this is the purple commander's view right now. Completely unawares of where the yellow commander is. The red army keeping things nice and distracting over on the front lines here. And just at this moment, Grumpiness does peek his head out of the water. Ooh, no vision over here either. There we go. Laser beam starts blasting at the metal extractor. Oh, yellow commander spotted for just a second. The Seafoam green commander spots it first and foremost, and the D-gun goes away. Now the purple commander is, taps out of the game immediately here. The green commander taking over control right now as the yellow commander gets away with murder, popping their head up and D-gunning the lab just before retreating. Wow. Brutal, brutal play right there to completely shut down the aggression. Now with the thugs on the front line to hold this against the grunts here, this is going to be extremely impossible. I think I understand why this game was over so quickly, with the red team presenting an overwhelming amount of aggression so early on and managing to get so much value out of it. Meanwhile, Seeker's on the other side of the map. Fast attack hovercraft, the spam hovercraft, the scout hovercraft, however you want to call them. Gonna go ahead and snipe a constructor ship, which is quite nice. The constructor ship really, the pain there is, of course, that losing that means you can't build those metal extractors, you can't build any more tidal generators, you can't build E-converters, all that stuff. You lose out on a lot of economy, you lose out on a lot of map control. Red Commander's still hovering around on the front line here. Well, moved up and now hovering on the front line with also this economy in the back line. Oh, and it looks like we actually handed this constructor over to Grumpiness so that he could build an economy in the back here. It looks like Grumpiness is going to go ahead and go for a laboratory. Maybe we're going to go for a naval lab, or even a, maybe we could even go for something cheeky like a hovercraft platform here. Either way, looking to make some big moves now with the thugs pushing forward. 87i, the tech player here, the mid lane tech player who was going for a very nice, very stock standard Cortex build, now forced up to the front line. Going to have to try and fight this front line with essentially 2 times the economy, but half the production. Oof. Definitely hurts to see. Constructor gonna go around and try and rebuild some of these metal extractors. Still though, with all these mexes under the control of the red team right here, all of these beautiful 4.3 metal extractors churning out metal left, right, and center. This is a wonderful, wonderful situation for the red team. You know, I say that as I glance up here towards the Eco tab, and it's really not that big of an advantage. 10, 20 metal. Definitely adds up over time, but certainly with the reclaim and everything, if we can manage to lock down this whole reclaim pattern right here in the middle of the map and we can manage to push back with a little bit of aggression, the blue team does have an opportunity there. Southern Sea is well lost, though. The Lavender Commander decided, instead of pushing into the Navy, just going to go ahead and pork up. Decided to start producing units and is now sending them towards the front line. Now, these units are helping because, of course, that means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, 4, 5-ish armies headed out for the blue team versus just 2 right now for the red team. What's that aggression buy you if you can't hold everything down? Well, it buys you time to pump out, for instance, a Tsar tank. This looks like a classic Tsar rush right here. I'm gonna go ahead and pump out some constructors, gonna go ahead and build a vehicle lab here, and then gonna go ahead into the T2. Usually, yep, there it is. The Tsar rush comes up about, oh, I want to say the 9-minute mark or so. I think that's about the quickest I've seen a Tsar rush. Maybe a little sooner, a little later, but around the 9-minute mark. Shell Shockers firing away at a lot of the static defense. Wonderful for blasting down all these static defense towers like the Twin Guards and whatnot. Still going to cause problems, though, or still going to be a problem, though, dealing with the thugs, as they are quick enough to engage with those Shell Shockers and dodge the projectiles that they fire. Twin Guard here, finding enormous value. Yeah, effectively 2 LLTs, but with the added benefit of 1 LLT being able to fire just a bit further and just far enough in order to shoot down rocket bots, which is important, obviously. Being able to kill rocket bots is very annoying, especially if you're relying heavily on them. Bombers coming in now. The Yellow Commander sending those bombers across, manages to drop a bombing run that actually kills some wind turbines with an Armada bomber, nearly unheard of. Fighters do manage to shoot it down, but just in the nick of time. It's an air lab on the coast right here. Yeah, as more and more of these bombers come across. All right, I guess I don't mind it. Yeah, an interesting choice to go for here, but I guess it all works out in the end. E-converters, another prime target, of course, but yeah, they're not really churning out that much metal right now. Very annoying. Very annoying for the blue commander to deal with right here. Losing all those wind turbines, shutting down that energy production definitely hurts. Another bomber coming in. One by one, these bombers are finding their value. Man, did Armada bombers get a buff? They certainly look good. Changes. There you go. You can pause and take a look at this in case you wanted to. Anyways. What a cheeky play from Grumpiness. Going ahead and going into an air lab off the coast right here. How bizarre. Yeah, not finding much value now that we have the fighters on patrol right above this base over here. Green Commander in a lot of trouble. Down it goes. The frigate's putting in a lot of work over here from the Hot Pink Commander on the right-hand side of the Isthmus today. Going to be firing away at that commander and blasting it down into smithereens. Blue Commander goes in to try and reclaim some of that wreckage, but you still have to be careful. Those frigates still linger around in the ocean. Get too close, and they're happy to melt down any of your sturdier units. Even up to T2, they really can't craft, or pack, rather, quite a punch. I think I was looking at Crafty K9, the Maroon Commander's name right there. D-Gun from the Blue Commander cleans up that wreckage to at the very least deny it from falling into red hands. Don't mind that, of course, but obviously every commander's hoping and praying that they can get that wreckage under their own control. Tsar tank finally hits the field about 9:30. It comes out and manages to land on the front lines here, firing away at whatever it can. Commander going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Boom goes the Commander, down to just 30% HP, and another shot brings it to 14. As those Tsar shots echo across the battlefield here, thugs being blasted away with unbelievable efficiency. It's a Tsar rush followed up by probably the cheekiest T1 play I've seen so far. And with that Tsar getting so much value here, it's impossible for the red team to hold, or pardon me, for the blue team to hold. The red team need only support this Tsar, make sure that it doesn't get degunned, make sure that it doesn't get shurikened, anything like that. We do have the anti-air truck here to prevent that. And all should be extremely well. Yeah. You can tell the blue commander wants it. You can see the commander cloaking around and looking for the opportunity here, but not able to. Wants to degun that Tsar so badly, but without any proper radar jamming available here, it's going to be nearly impossible to find an opening. And that Tsar is happy to dismantle these T1 static defenses. A beautiful play right here from the red team. Definitely well coordinated. You can see that these commanders are practiced and working together. Always very, very nice to see when a team puts in just the barest minimum to get coordinated on some sort of level, and it means that they can pull off some extremely potent strategies. Metal storage goes down, and all the metal extractors have too. Orloff in a lot of trouble. There's the powder blue commander falling there as well. The Tsar getting a little bit of a back massage from the red commander, but at this point, already feeling more than happy with the way that this frontline fight has gone. Yeah. The red team can't really complain. It really doesn't get much better than that. 3 different commanders going down on the fronts right here. Navy lane 1 on the southern side. A little bit scary on this left-hand side, but not really the end of the world here. Anir needs to transition out of Navy. We've dumped thousands and thousands of metal here into the Navy units. If, for instance, we had put, I don't know, half this metal, let's go ahead and select half these units. 3,300 metal into amphibious units, sent them over in this direction, popped up 4 or 5 salamanders on this side of the map, gone ahead, blasted down all these metal extractors, and then into the base of the yellow commander. I think this game would have turned out very differently, but such is not the case here as the CFM Green Commander continues to pump out boats, as the Blue Commander continues to be overwhelmed by grunts, and as the Yellow Commander continues their shenanigans, building LLTs on the cliff sides here to blast down geothermal vents and continue harassing DRM, the Lavender Commander. Grunts in the back line and shurikens are the band-aid on top of the massive gaping wound right here. The anti-air truck coming in clutch here, though, to shoot down those shuriken, meaning that the Tsar, of course, can move forward uncontested. More than happy to fire away. It's devastating. Oh, actually, it's on hold fire, or return fire, rather. More than happy to fire away its devastating cannon. There we go. Into the faces of these units here. Eventually brought down by the medium tanks, but certainly by this point already the damage has been well done. Grumpiness now moving forward with the commander on the right-hand side, continuing to give value with this commander, producing basically no units. I mean, there was the bombers earlier on, but that was basically nothing. And now the commander is going to be chasing down T2 constructors. My goodness. What a vile, vile play. Very lovely to see. Always happy to see some cheese developed in this game, because I'm always curious to see if putting a video out about it will make it much more popular, right? The only way you develop a counter to cheese is by getting cheesed, right? So, you know, we're inoculating the beyond all reason populace to cheese here. Exposure therapy. Here come the thugs marching towards the base. Just good old-fashioned T1 thugs marching on in and ready to deliver the killing blow right here. There's a couple of sprinters pumped out by the Cyan Commander, but we're operating on a time scale that is relative to a standard game, and this is far from what you would consider standard in basically any measure, as those sprinters are way too late to save the base right here of the Cyan Commander, who also taps out of this game. Blue Commander going for a little bit of a counterattack, as these medium tanks do find a little bit of purchase. There goes a metal extractor as well as the LLT to guard it. You're gonna have to push through a lot in order to find any more value, though, and with already a bunch of T1 labs up and running, 3 different T1 labs, as well as the T2 constructors up and running, T2 mechs is coming up and running, as well as a full-fledged T2 economy over here as well. It's gonna be quite difficult to find much more value. There's the Salamanders. Would you look at that? Yeah, T2 Navy produced over here, my goodness, and we're going for Buccaneers instead of messenger ships. Definitely a misappropriation of funds, where otherwise they should be going into slightly different units over here. Could maybe change the way that this game goes, but all things considered, this is already way too much damage. The blue team is going to need a massive comeback in order to make their way back into this game, and I just don't see how they're going to manage to pull that off with still being stuck on T1 technology basically across the board. Ooh, nasty bit of friendly fire right there from that Janus, firing one of its twin missiles into the back of its own friendly medium tank there. Grumpiness threatening these back with some D-guns, but frankly speaking, the Salamanders are so sturdy they don't even need to worry about it. Those medium tanks will blast down in just a blast or two. The funny thing about heat rays, which is what the salamanders fire, and also what a lot of Legion units fire, just FYI, it actually falls off with range, similar to the way that regular old laser beams do, but these are even more so. I believe it's at full range, it's only 50% of the power. So right now they're firing at that medium tank at full range, and it's doing half damage. As the tanks close in, they're going to do way more. And it's pretty easy to see that. Like, you can tell as these tanks get closer, the tanks find way more efficient trades against them. It also helps, of course, the more tanks you have, the more you can take advantage of that surround bonus. I thought these sprinters might be cleaned up, but they've actually managed to make it quite far into the backline here. This is definitely concerning. Not the end of the world, certainly, but it's how you start chipping your way back into a game like this, as these sprinters have now found their way into the Maroon facility and are going to start blasting away at, well, whenever they can. Okay. A little bit of an APM stall, it feels like, from the Cyan Commander, not microing these around the T2 department, but I guess we're going to be able to take out some of the T1 metal extractors, at the very least stalling out slightly a little bit of that Salamander production over here on the right-hand side. Certainly could find some value popping these E-converters here as well. Still just the T1 army pushing forward over on this side as the thugs continue to rush forward right here into a base of a commander that is already brain dead. Commander no longer a thinking machine, just an idle bit of circuits and copper and gold wiring, just waiting for its ruination. Lightning tanks jump on top of a lot of this T1. You have to be careful about the T1. You can overproduce T1 going into T2 and accidentally find yourself throwing away so much metal that you actually feed more metal into their system than you've produced. Doesn't happen all the time. It's definitely a tricky situation, and when it does pop up, it's usually pretty obvious, but sometimes it can catch you a little bit off guard. And there we go. A morale victory, if nothing else, as the blue team had a couple of units headed towards the backline, but frankly speaking, the damage had already been well done. The red team claiming victory in this rapid-paced game beyond all reason, with a little bit of cheese, a little bit of shenanigans, and maybe a little bit of eye-openingly bold play, showing us just what's possible if you're willing to risk it all with a commander rushing on up to the fronts. Thanks a ton for watching. Let me know what you learned from it down below in the comments section. Feel free to subscribe and like the video in case you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.